Os, the hills of the northwest and the Hebridean Islands are more than 2,700 million years old. You can walk on some of the oldest rocks in the world there. People first lived there 9,000 years ago. At Bray, on the Orkney Islands, in the far north of Scotland, you can see the houses of early people from about 5,000 years ago. The houses at Nap of Hower, also on the Orkneys, are the oldest in Europe. The Romans went to Scotland, but they did not stay there for long. Between AD 122 and 128, they built Hadrian's Wall. It was 117 kilometres long and went from sea to sea across the most northern part of England. The Romans stayed in England for nearly 300 years, until about AD 400, and then they left and went back to Rome. Today, you can visit Hadrian's Wall in the north of England and walk along parts of it. Who were the first Scots? The people north of Hadrian's Wall were called Picts by the Romans. We can still see some of their story in their pictures in stone. But there were also Scotti from Ireland. The name Scotland comes from the Scotti. Vikings from Norway, and some English people from the south. These different peoples came under one king in the 800s. The first king of all the Scots, many people say, was Kenneth MacAlpin. He was king from 843 to 858. But the most famous Scottish king of this early time is Macbeth, 1040 to 1057. He is famous because Shakespeare wrote about him. For Shakespeare, Macbeth was a very bad man, but he was not worse than many other kings of those early days. There were many battles between England and Scotland. One important Scot was William Wallace, about 1270 to 1305. You can learn about him in the film Braveheart. Then, in 1314, the Scottish king, Robert the Bruce, took his men to the Battle of Bannockburn. After the battle, 10,000 Englishmen were dead, and Robert became one of the most important kings in the story of Scotland. Soon after, Scotland was free, and stayed free for nearly 300 years. In 1542, a little girl called Mary became Queen of Scotland. She was 6 days old, and only the second woman to be Queen of this country. Mary, Queen of Scots, became a tall and beautiful woman, but some Scots did not want her to be queen. Mary went to England and asked Elizabeth